Alright, I'm here with a brand new video going over some games that from the 3DS that I think I would like to see ported over to the Nintendo Switch. We've got a lot of Wii U ports now. I think pretty much all of the important games from the Wii U have now been ported to Switch. And in the most recent Nintendo Direct about 2 weeks ago, they showed Miitopia, the 3DS game, getting a bit of a half remaster, half port to the Switch. And I thought of some games that I'd like to see get another life on the Switch that may not have done well for a variety of reasons, or may just be cool, and I would like to see it happen. Something happen with these series and with these games again. Some games that I feel maybe got overlooked, or some just games in general I think I'd like to see. So I'll go over those now, kind of give a little bit of thought on what could be cool with all of them, and maybe talk about how likely it would be to happen. And I'll start out pretty easy with a game. If you watch the channel for a while, you know I'm a huge fan of this game. Kid Icarus Uprising. I think this game is so awesome. I almost feel like it's a shame that Nintendo has Sakurai slaving away on Smash Brothers when he could be making a sequel to this game or something. Because I mean, he directed this game. He also wrote this game, and it's so good. It's so funny. The characters are so likable. It's just such a great game. I know the gameplay does take some time to get used to, for sure, especially some of the controls with the touchscreen and everything. That's why it might be cool to see the game on the Switch. Dual sticks, maybe some motion controls, could definitely help this game in the long run, I think. But it'd be really, really cool to see something come of this series, of this game. This game sold well. And it's really, I mean, if you haven't played this game on 3DS, it's like really a AAA game on the 3DS. It's so cool. It plays almost like half Star Fox game, half kind of combat game a little bit. It's hard to describe because the gameplay's so unique. The way you control the game, while of course, people have complained about it before. I think if you get into it and get used to it, it's really, really great. But yeah, like I said, the game's funny. The writing's really good. The characters are really likable. And it's just a shame because the game sold well, but I mean, when you got Sakurai working on Smash Brothers, and then you have Nintendo kind of has a problem where their teams kind of almost entirely work on one series, and if there's a series that doesn't have the quote unquote team that works on them, they don't usually get a game. Think of like Donkey Kong Country. Retro's not been working on Donkey Kong Country since 2014. On an original one at least, and there's not been a game since 2014. So there's a bit of a problem there. But I would like to see this game get a new light. I think maybe pointer controls could be really cool. Could play a lot better than maybe how it did on the original system at least. But I really liked this game, and I really think it deserves a second chance. I really think that I'd love to see a sequel, but I think porting the game might be difficult, but I think it'd be worthwhile. A few other easy ones that I'd like to do. This is a no-brainer, I think, but I'm going to throw in an extra one. Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D, of course. I think that Ocarina of Time 3D is the best way to play Ocarina of Time. It's so good. It looks really great. Pull up like videos of it playing on I think the emulator is called Citra. I'm not advocating for you to go emulate the game or pirate the game, but there's videos of it. It looks really nice, just up-resed, being played on a computer. Even if 3DS games were at 240p on the system, a lot of them look pretty nice, especially when, playing on a computer or whatever, being captured on something that's not natively 240p. But where I say that this is going to get a bit more interesting is these games, I think, should be ported. There's not too much really having to do with the 3D or the touchscreen that would be lost from doing this. And I think that these are just really well done ports of these games. But I think that also Nintendo, this won't work as much because I think they should really do this for the Zelda 35th anniversary, even though it doesn't look like they're doing it. But I think that the forgotten game here that should also get ported to the Switch is Star Fox 64 3D, which is a great version of Star Fox 64, which is already a great game. But it's a great version of the game. I feel like a lot of people forgot about this one because it came out kind of early into the 3DS before people really cared about the system, before people really bought the system. But I think that this would be another great one to see on the 3DS. And yeah, I would love to see these were just such well-done versions of taking N64 games that have aged well, gameplay wise, but maybe not graphically aged the best, even though they all look pretty solid for what they are. And just giving them a fresh coat of paint while also keeping a lot of what made these games good intact and making it a lot more accessible. My worry now after Mario 3D All Stars is if they're just going to take like N64 ROMs of these games and just throw them up and make you pay like a ridiculous amount of money for them. And that seems about in line with what they do. But I don't know. I feel like these are sitting right here. I really feel like it could go for a good port would be really, really cool of all three of these. So time for a different kind of less obvious game, and this is probably the game, one of the games at least, that would be the hardest to port over. But I feel like it's a game that got overlooked. It's the last physical release on the 3DS, other than the limited run release, and that is Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. So this one came out June of 2019 here in the United States, and the reason I say that this is going to be difficult to port to Switch, and why I doubt it would happen, is that it's an Etrian Odyssey game essentially with Persona characters. It's just a big crossover between Persona 3, 4, and 5 characters. And it plays like Etrian Odyssey. But the problem with Etrian Odyssey is it is a series pretty much designed entirely around the dual screen concept. You got a map that you fill in on the bottom, and then you're doing first person dungeon crawling on the top. And this game is great, and those games are pretty cool, but I just feel like there's a good chance that it will not happen, just because I don't know how you'd fix that on the Switch, and I just think that probably they're going to leave the Etrian Odyssey series kind of to die out, which is unfortunate. But this would be a good one just because it came at the end of the 3DS life cycle. It didn't have a dub. It didn't have an English dub. Atlas probably realized that pushing this game out and paying the money to have, there's like 30 classic Persona characters in this game, something ridiculous like that. You have the parties. You have 3 different parties, each with about 8-9 characters, and then you got some other characters. So it'd probably, in a lot of those characters, you got like Troy Baker, you got Laura Bailey, you got a lot of big voice actors that did not come back. So it would just kind of be a nightmare. Most of the Persona 4 cast has been recast at this point, so they probably didn't feel like it was worth it in that way. But you got a lot of voice acting that they probably just figured that it was not worth even trying to dub. But it'd be cool maybe if we could get this game ported over. It could get a dub. Once again, it's a nice looking Switch game, or a 3DS game. It could probably look pretty nice on the Switch with some work. This one is one of the least likely ones I think that would be able to happen, but it would be really, really cool. And it's kind of a shame. There's definitely a desire, no pun intended, for Persona content on the Switch, and it just doesn't seem like that's being met in any way, aside from Strikers, which is great, but it could be a good one. I just feels like a weird time to put that on the 3DS. Here's another one. This one's kind of a caveat, and it's going to be kind of a 2-in-1, but I don't have a physical copy because it was not released over here of the other game. It would be cool for like these compilation type games. This is still sealed. I have not played this, I'll be honest. But I'd like to play this one on the Switch. I think that'd be cool. But it'd be cool if like both WarioWare Gold and Rhythm Heaven Megamix came to the Switch. Rhythm Heaven Megamix I think came out in like 2015 here in the West, and we only got a digital release of that because the series is not that big over here. But that would be, it's a cool compilation of a lot of classic Rhythm Heaven games from the DS game, from the Wii game, and all that. That would be really cool to see come to the Switch. But I also think WarioWare Gold could be cool. I think this came out 2017, and not too many people bought it. It's a big compilation of older micro games from the past entries in the series. From all means I've heard, it's apparently great, but I've yet to try it out. And it would be cool to see it on the Switch. I feel like there's a lot of late release 3DS games that could do pretty well. I think Nintendo banked on the Switch not doing as well as it would. That's why they kind of continued that 3DS support through 2017 and a little bit into 2018. But I think a lot of those games didn't do very well. There was reports of several different games that ended up just getting canceled that they were developing for the 3DS. So I think it'd be really nice if some of these post-Switch 3DS games got a new life over on the Switch. I believe Miitopia was actually a post-Switch 3DS game, so they might be starting to do that. It would be cool to see stuff like that hop over to the Switch. But yeah, I think Rhythm Heaven, Megamix, and WarioWare Gold, it doesn't seem like they're ever going to make new entries in these series, at least anytime soon. So it'd be cool if there's a compilation like these games, which already exists, but more accessible on the Switch. So figured that'd be a cool entry to put in. And then finally, this is a series I don't hear anyone talk about. I feel like more people should talk about these games because they're, for lack of a better term, kind of epic in a way. This is Project Cross Zone 2 and Project Cross Zone. So these are like kind of tactic RPG type games, strategy RPG type games. But what's notable about them is that they're crossover games. You can see Project Cross Zone. They're crossover between Sega, Namco Bandai, and Capcom. And it's just really cool. It's kind of goofy fan service stuff. You got stuff like that appeals to me, like Ace Attorney characters meeting Yakuza characters, which I feel like they made that for me and only me. Project Cross Zone 2 actually has, I believe, Chrom and Lucina from from Fire Emblem, and you got Fiora from Xenoblade, which is cool as well. So there are even Nintendo characters in Project Cross Zone 2, but I hear no one ever talk about these games despite how cool they are. The gameplay, it's good, it's all right. I mean, you got to kind of be more of a fan of these series. I think that's kind of the fan servicey stuff is where it lies. It's not dubbed, unfortunately, which would be cool, but once again, you got some bigger name voice actors that play these roles. I don't know if you would want to bother them for a 3DS game that's probably didn't do very well. But these games are really cool. I would highly recommend them. It would be really cool to see them ported over to the 3DS. I'd say these are probably the least likely games to be ported over to the 3DS. Another interesting thing to note is that these were developed by Monolith Soft, who we all know for developing Xenoblade, of course. I'm just double checking, make sure it says that. I'm pretty sure these were developed by Monolith Soft. I'm almost positive. But yeah, really, really cool games. Really, really interesting games. It would be cool to just see these games. I mean, you can kind of write them off as goofy fan service, but it would be cool to see these games get ported over to the Switch, get a new life over there. Because I just feel like how ambitious these games are and how big of a crossover these are, no one talks about them. I mean, look at this cover. I bumped my camera here. Look at this cover. I mean, you got Phoenix Wright, you got Dante, you got Mega Man X, you got Yuri from Tales of, you got Ryu. I mean, look at this. Come on. It's awesome stuff. Such a cool series. It is a shame. Yeah, no, this didn't really go anywhere. And yeah, I think that these would be cool. I think that these should deserve another life. But they're underrated titles. You should probably just check them out on 3DS anyway. I'd recommend them, especially if the crossover aspect sounds interesting. But I figured a little bit of a shorter video this week, just going over some games I thought would be cool coming to the 3DS. Not every video needs to be 20 plus minutes long. So leave a comment down below what you think of these selections. Leave a comment with games you'd like to see get ported over to the 3DS, maybe. There's definitely some I've left out. Maybe I could do a sequel to this if you guys like this. Other than that, leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you already subscribed. Follow me on Twitter at ObjoGaming, and I will see you guys next time.